Welcome to the Orlando Sentinel's editorial board interview with a candidate in the primary for Florida House District 41. That includes Orla Vista, Oak Ridge, and portions of Metro West, Paramore, Turkey Lake. This is another one of our universal or open primaries. The only two candidates who qualified are both Democrats. So all District 41 voters, regardless of party or non-party affiliation, can participate. The incumbent is Representative Bruce Antone, who reclaimed the seat 2 years ago and has served nearly 7 terms in the House. His challenger is Orla Vista resident Janét Buford, who was spurred to community activism in the wake of Hurricane Ian. And she is with us today. Representative Antone is not. And we're not, we often find that people have technical difficulties or whatever, but we haven't, we don't have him here. We'd like to go ahead and proceed. So, and before we get started, Ms. Buford has agreed, and we really appreciate it, that this is not going to be a debate. It's going to be an interview, and she's going to be talking about her own views and approaches that she would take to the issues that mean the most to you, the District 41 voters. So I'm going to start, though, with a question that may sound a little partisan. The Democrats are seriously outnumbered in both chambers of the legislature. And while they may retake some seats, it's numerically unlikely that they're going to regain control of either the House or the Senate. Should you be the one representing District 41, what would you do to make sure that your constituents' viewpoints are respected?
That's an excellent question. I would appeal to them as far as what the needs of the people have conveyed to me and what they want. Because at this point, in this juncture, I work for them. I don't work for anyone else. I'm going to always be an advocate for the people of my community and where I come from, the people that voted me in. That is my job, and that's what I'll be doing. And I will convey those messages no matter what. I'm a truth teller. I'm a person that's going to stand up for what I believe in, and I'm going to stand for our people.
The other part of that question is, how would you secure funding for their priorities?
Securing funding, that it would be once I'm in the seat, then I would go to different programs that may be available to me. I would talk to the businesses and or the community itself before I go in to address the needs that need to be done. I have to have all the information in order to make proper decisions and making things move correctly. And I do research, of course, because that's just who I am. I'm a researcher. I like to find out all the nicks and every little bit of everything before I present something to someone.
Great. Thank you very much. I wanted to ask you a little more specifically. For decades, state funding has been used to support local priorities like septic to sewer projects, mental health programs, arts and culture. This year, for example, hundreds of millions of dollars in local projects were slashed, most notably the veto of the entire cultural grant budget. Do you feel that the state should help with local projects like these?
I do, because those things help enrich our children and also our community too, and it uplifts and brings the revenue in. I'm a performing arts student myself. I was, and I came here from New Jersey. I was a performing arts student growing up, and I was in performing arts from the 8th grade all the way up through when I graduated from high school. So those type programs help our children with developmental. They help us with keeping away from things that can get into things that bigger and things that can be very derogatory. And I think those fundings should never have been cut.
Thank you. And before I ask the next question, since you tell me you have a performing arts background, if you could speak a little more loudly, I think that would pick up better. I'm having a little trouble hearing.
Okay,
So
no problem.
yes,
Let me try to turn the volume
you've
up as
been
well.
taught to project. That's great. Thank you so much. Yeah, because yeah, that should be awesome. All right, so now I'm back to my question. There are two issues that are going to be on the November ballot. If Florida voters authorize legal marijuana and ratify an amendment that protects reproductive rights, including abortion, what do you anticipate lawmakers trying to do, and what do you think they should be doing to implement those?
Marijuana being legalized completely. I don't smoke personally. I'm not a person that's into marijuana. I think the smell is really horrific, but I know people that utilize it for pain. They utilize it for a lot of things medically, and sometimes it helps them with their, with mental things that they may have going. So I would support that from that purpose, from because you don't know what someone's condition may be, and you don't know what someone may be going through. So therefore, that I would support that because it is technically organic. So, and that's just what I will leave that in that. As far as abortion is concerned, I think that government has no right to tell a woman what she can do with her body. And I think that we as people need to mind our business and let that be between her doctor, and God. Because we don't know what someone's circumstances are. They might not be able to afford that child. They might have been a victim of rape or whatever the case may be, and they did not speak about it right away. And they ended up in this situation. So therefore, now they're trying to get whatever they can because they don't want to carry that child. We don't know what someone's circumstances are, and who are we to govern what someone does with their body? In those old days, in the 50s and 60s, before abortion was legal, they were doing illegal abortions. And it's going to become back into those days when people are desperate. They do desperate things and they'll end up losing their own lives. So therefore, we have to do the right thing moving forward and mind because government has no business telling a woman what she could do with her body. That's just what I feel.
Thank you for that answer. I will transfer over to education. In the coming school year, more than 400,000 students will be getting one of several public education vouchers, which are often used to pay private school tuition.
Mm-hmm.
Sentinel investigation called Schools Without Rules found little to no accountability on how well those schools educated their students, nor how they spent the voucher money. Do you feel that Florida does enough to ensure that schools accepting vouchers provide the high quality education that's guaranteed in the state constitution?
I do not. I think that I was looking at the stats on that as far as education is concerned and some of the programs that they utilize. I think that we need to be a lot more aggressive as far as the education systems that are outside of the county systems. We need to be because our children are the ones who are suffering. They're not at the same level as other states and other places. What's going on with us, it's major because these children can't even fill out an application, half of them. They don't understand the wording that's on on an application, and I think that's important. You have to be able to read it in order to complete the task. You have to read with comprehension, and if you can't comprehend it, you can't even function to do what needs to be done. So basically, you're not able to really truly read. So it's very important to have the vocabulary, to be able to understand, to read, and to be able to discern things as they come. So I am very much an advocate to making sure that those things happen for our community, for our children, and moving forward throughout their lives.
If I could follow up on that really quickly, one of the things that Florida has learned with the voucher program, which has been, we're almost 2 decades into now, is that they have become very popular with Black families in particular because they do see them as a chance for their children to get a high quality, very specialized, in some cases, education. So,
Hmm.
leaving aside the accountability issues, do you support the concept of using public dollars to support private education?
That's a good question. That puts it into a different perspective because a lot of times, if you're in a private sector, you can afford to send your child to school. In public schools, there aren't enough of everything in there. There's a lot of programs that are closed to them because of the not being or a school or whatever school the where the median is. So I think that we need to get back to like programs that will help in public schools more so. I understand them, and I think that the public and the county system should also be able to help in certain areas in that, but they also should have the public and the private sector together working together to build the bridge between the two, because a lot of times in private sector they get better educations than we do in public school systems. I'm a product of a public school system, but it was in New Jersey. So I had a stellar, high school education because I went to Hudson County Public Schools. And without those programs and without the grant money and the things that they had there, my education would not have been what it was. Um, I was prepared for college. I was prepared to go into the military or whatever I wanted to do. I was capable of doing so because I had proper, and the government made sure that we had proper education for public schools.
Great. Thank you for that answer. I wanted to jump over and talk about health insurance. About 11% of Floridians lack health insurance, which is well above the national average.
Right.
And a lot of people believe that's because Florida is one of the few states that refuse to expand Medicaid. Do you believe that it's time for Republicans to reconsider their opposition to expansion? And especially, what help can lawmakers offer for Floridians, who make too much for Medicaid but are otherwise shut out of the healthcare marketplace?
Yeah, that would have been me too. So I understand that quite well. I think that they do need to make some to check the what they put as a basically you have to be starving to death in order to make it to those programs. And I think they need to change the perspective trajectory as far as those programs are concerned. The economics for a family of four, I think it said I couldn't have more than $40,000 or something. Or I was like, that's not enough money to support a family of four anyway. So there's no way. I think that they need to change to how they, how they govern what the median or what the minimal income needs to be, because nobody can afford to pay for to go to the doctor. And it's really sad that you can be really sick and then all of a sudden you can't afford to go to a doctor. And then if they have something, they might have some places one or two where you can go on a sliding scale. And because like I said, I went through that and I understand it quite well. I made too much to be considered for Medicaid, but I also, and that was very young in my career. But it's a serious situation. I would love to see something change as far as that is concerned myself, and I would definitely get on board with trying to make that happen for our community, because a lot of people can't afford to go to the doctor. They can't afford to get their medications, especially some of our seniors. A lot of our seniors are on a fixed income and they can't afford to get meds, and that's not right, or see the doctor even.
I wanted to switch to another kind of insurance. Um, Florida residents pay more and get less from their
Hmm.
property insurance policies than any other state in the country. Lawmakers have been dragged back to Tallahassee time and again to fix it, but there's been no fix in sight for consumers. What is your plan for rescuing Florida's property insurance market?
I think that we need to revisit with all of these insurance companies and work together collectively as people that are elected officials to work to get these negotiate some better programs for each and every one of our households, because I had the same issue myself. And it's been a struggle. You have to go get a public adjuster or an attorney to fight your insurance company to get things fixed for yourself. And you pay all this money for insurance, but yet and still you can't, when it comes down to something coming happening that you couldn't control, then you're in trouble. And that's not fair to any of us. And as consumers, I think that. And then all of a sudden they don't take your policy, they cancel, and they've left Florida. So it's a major thing, and I think we need to hold, as government officials and people, we need to hold them accountable for what they're doing and what their lack thereof. Instead of making side deals, let's make the right deal for our people.
Thank you. I will jump over to a question about culture wars. For the past several years, Florida's seen a lot of controversies along the line of what many describe as culture wars, like lawmaking centered on transgender individuals, the removal of books from public schools,
Yes.
prohibiting discussion of gender identity, sexual orientation in most grades, and attacks and accusations on so-called DEI. Do you think those debates have been a productive use of legislative time, and what can Democrats do to get past that kind of debate?
And I am a person that was raised with several of my uncles and people in my family that were LGBTQ, and I have friends that are, and I think that their life is their life. No, who are you to judge and be trying to stop them from doing anything? Because God made us all. I think that that's there. There's no I don't know, racially, race, creed, color, any of that should not matter. Love is love. Because we're all human beings. Just treat each other just like family. That's it. Even in school, there should be no. I'm not going to school to learn about whatever you are, whoever you are. We're here. We're individuals. We're here to learn. We're not here for all of those things. I think that education is education. We're here to learn so we can become productive human beings, to be able to support our families one day, or to be the best version of ourselves. So if someone is gay, I don't think that that's something that should be, oh, we got to have specialized things just because they're this. I don't think that that's the way it's supposed to be. I think that we just go to school to learn. We're not supposed to be going there for all of those other things.
From a legislative standpoint, how do you think, as the minority party, Democrats can make a difference?
That's going to take a lot of work. Democrats, for one, we have to all stick together as far as that is concerned. We have to show a united front. We also have to, because one thing about it is a lot of us are divided as far as things are concerned. And again, it's not, like, government should not have something to do with everything that goes on with a person and their choices. Their choices, that's between them and God. We're not God. And I think that people should love because God is love. And that's the way I see it, regardless to whatever. And the Democratic Party, if we practice what we preach, we can make that difference. We have to treat each other fairly, equally, no matter what party it is, instead of doing all this back and forth, because we're all human beings.
Thank you. And I had a question that I bet you have some strong opinions on, given your experiences. Do you believe that Florida is meeting the challenge of responding to climate change, rising sea levels, and increasingly violent weather events? And I know you were at ground zero for that. So,
Oh, you really got me there. Well, you already know my stance is definitely no, we're not doing enough as far as climate change and doing all the things that we can, as far as we really need to be better active in these, because these violent storms are destroying our home of negative things to our communities. And if we don't watch it, we're going to be flooded out because we are below sea level. I am very much, I watch all of that on a regular basis. It is my fear that one day all of us will be underwater if we don't make some changes. Global warming is real.
Um, well, we have taken up more time than we promised, but I think we've gone through some great questions and you've given us some great answers. Thank you so much. Um, I did want to remind our voters that we will be making an endorsement in this race, but we urge you to take a look at both candidates for yourself. Both have social media accounts, websites. There will be forums, and of course, our excellent news coverage of this race. In addition, take a look at their positions and evaluate whether they are in line with your own values and make a decision about who will best represent you. And remember that the winner of this election will be the next state representative, and that everybody who is a registered voter in District 41 gets a chance. Republicans, Democrats, non-party affiliates, and third-party voters. So with that, I would like to invite Ms. Buford to make a closing statement that gives us her best pitch as to why voters should choose her.
In my district, I stand as one of you. I am truly here to fight for our communities, the needs of us, each and every one of us. I come from humble beginnings, just like everyone else. I don't consider myself to be anything but your representative, your advocate, and I'm going to always stand and fight for our community because it is the labor of love. It's not about money. It's not about gaining all these glitz and glams. No, I am here for us because I know what it is to have to struggle to take care of our community. I've seen a lot of things, and I'm out here daily trying to fight for all of us no matter what the circumstances are. If you call me, I call you back. I show up. I do whatever it needs to be done to help to make things better. So that's who I am, and that's who I always will be. So come on out and vote for me.
Thank you so much. We wish you the best of luck. And remind everybody, August 20th, that's the day to make your choice in this race.